What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, I know I haven't done a Vietnam dong video in a while. That's because I've been obsessed with the silver market. If you guys are not paying attention, I recommend you guys go check out my videos I'm doing on those. It's exciting to watch, but at the same time, it's kind of nerve-wracking because I'm anticipating them trying to find a way to drive down the value, but so far it looks like it's unstoppable. Gold as well. Anyways, let's talk about Vietnam because they are on a list. We're going to talk about that. Money Metals Exchange, you guys know if you want to go buy some gold and silver, let me suggest you check out Money Metals. Their link will be in my description. If you buy more than $100 of goodies, go to the promo code and put in their Pimpy, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. All right, go on. They got all kinds of goodies. Shop around there, check it out. They got plenty of inventory, especially in the area of gold. Okay, so as you guys know, we got Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's the same name as the YouTube channel. I'm gonna encourage you guys to come join us over here. It's free to do so. We talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, and foreign currency events. Over here, we have the hidden things in front of your eyes, which deals with NESARA, GESARA, as well as current events, political, and things you might consider a conspiracy. Let's get into the news. What is this? It finally came out. Thailand, Taiwan, risk entering U.S. watch list for currency manipulation. We already know this. We talked about this. They're there. So, I guess the report has been postponed. We knew about this. All right. And then also keep in mind a couple of things. I think right now, the reason why there's not a lot of issues dealing with currency manipulation is, one, we're in the middle of a civil war. There's no doubt about it. It's already started. You're seeing attacks on our cities everywhere. Democratic controlled cities are allowed to burn down their communities. And that's their communities who get affected. So I don't understand that rationality, but they're so desperate to try to get Trump out of power. It's unfortunate this is happening. Now we're finding bodies in some of these burned buildings, and these officials should be arrested. I don't care what political party you are. If you allowed rioters and looters to burn down your neighborhoods and did nothing about it, nothing whatsoever, and we find dead bodies in there from the fires, you should get prosecuted. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. So, Thailand, Taiwan. Remember I told you they were also on the list? I showed you guys the little red marks. So, Thailand, Taiwan may be added to the U.S. watch list for currency manipulation after meeting all the criteria set out by the Treasury Department, according to the UBS Group AG. Now, what does this mean for people who are investing in the currencies? Well, this means their currencies are undervalued. And we know that all those countries that make up around the places around the South China Sea, Vietnam, Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, all of those countries benefited from the trade war that the U.S. had with China, and now are greatly being awarded because there are a lot of countries who are so pissed about the coronavirus that they are pulling their businesses out of there and bringing their businesses into these countries. Now it's causing them to grow. They're really expanding. They're having more of an international reach. And because of this, their value of their currency should be going up, but it's not. And therefore, they're being put on the currency manipulation watch list. A country is included in the monitoring list if it fulfills two of the three benchmarks: a trade surplus with the U.S. of at least $20 billion, a current account surplus of that at least 2% of gross domestic product, and is persistent. One-sided intervention in the currency equivalent is 2% of GDP growth in 6 months of a year. Taiwan, which dropped off the U.S. monitoring list in 2017, and Thailand has now fulfilled all three criteria. Neither were included in U.S. Treasury's January finding, but they'll be in the May's. Okay, well, it comes out, I think, the month after. Thailand and Taiwan have crossed $2 billion in surplus mark to make it to the list. Yeah. These countries are greatly benefiting from what's going on. This is good. And people go, are there other currencies I should watch besides the Vietnam dong and Iraqi dinar? Yeah, the Thai baht I talked about, and the Taiwan dollar. I gave a list of countries and why. if they're manipulating their currencies, if they're on there for a third time, you can expect them to force the value up by changing the rates if they don't adjust any of the criterias that keep them where they are. Okay, so the Bank of Thailand governor said in January or July the 14th that he is not concerned about the upcoming report as the nation has explained its foreign exchange policy to the U.S. Treasury. The baht has moved in both directions against the dollar and actually weakened from last year. He added that the central bank only steps in when there is excessive swings and it is used managed floats system, and the U.S. Treasury understands that. So good. Well, okay. If they're using the float, then the market should demand a higher rate. Anyways, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit more because, oh, here we are. The U.S. dropped its designation of China as a currency manipulator in its latest report, noting that the world's second largest economy has made enforceable comments. Okay, not to devalue the yuan. Yeah, while their economy is getting crushed right now. Switzerland was added to the watch list, while China, Japan, Korea, Germany, Italy, Ireland, Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam were retained. This is now the third time Vietnam would be on there, so there will be punishments. We'll see what happens. They're going to need to change the rate. But like I said, I think they're getting away with it right now only because of the distractions that are taking place here during the Civil War in the United States. But make no doubt about it, once Trump is reelected and he wins in a landslide and he grabs control of the House as well as the Senate, those types of things will not be allowed any longer. So let's continue to look at why Vietnam is a good investment for the currency. That's because they continue to grow, even despite the Rona. Vietnam's GDP forecast to grow 3.8% this year. That's not bad, but I think it's a little bit lower than what they had forecasted. Vietnam's economic growth rate this year would reach 3.8 if there is no second Rona in the second half of the year and economic activities gradually resume. So they're doing really good. So the forecast was released at the launch of the independent assessment of Vietnam's macroeconomic performance by VERP. It is likely that the economy will reach at least a 3.8% for the whole year 2020. At a lower probability, the economy may grow only 2.2 due to the adverse developments of the Rona. Here's the thing. Keep in mind, remember, Vietnam wasn't hit that hard by the coronavirus. They did a great job of containing it and dealing with it. The reason why they weren't able, and they did explode. They had a pretty explosive first quarter, but, you know, the reason why they didn't really take off is because the countries that they dealt with were in shutdown, keeping them from growing even more. So anyways, you can see here, the forecast is really good. They're going to have some growth. And so we'll keep an eye on that. The more they grow, the stronger their currency, the better. Remember I was talking about investments and stuff? Look at this. First Housing Projects is allowed to sell apartments to foreigners. Nice. Talked about how cheap it is to live over here, man. Something to consider, especially with all the craziness happening. The Sina Bay Complex became the first housing projects in the Can Hoa province allowed to sell apartments to foreigners, according to the recent announcement of the Provincial Department of Constructions. Okay, so good. We're opening up more to foreigners. Before they had a very restrict guidelines, and now it seems that they're opening up. But not just here. Also keep in mind, they're allowing commercial real estate to be sold to foreigners. There was a restriction on that. That's allowing outside investors to come in just as long as they remodel everything and put money into the business to keep them coming here if you want to buy a business over there. Okay, that's one of the demands. Satcom Bank profits reached 61.5 in the first half. Again, this is looking good. Vietnam seems to be the most oppressive big dog out of everybody in the country. Satcom Bank was released its consolidated financial statements for the second quarter with % from the same period last year, looking about a $19 million profit, which is a lot of moolah over in Vietnam. This took its profit for the first half of the year to 61.479 million. How about that? Because it looks like $61,000, or nearly 56% of a full year target, but failing by 2.2 for year on year. The net interest income for the second quarter was up nearly 31%. So again, banks are always a good sign of how a country is doing. So as long as they're not fudging their numbers, and I think they're okay. So again, another good sign for Vietnam. More than 49% of manufacturing firms optimistic about the third quarter. Yeah, their manufacturings are booming because of the trade war, as well as what's going on with people pulling their manufacturing out of there due to the Rona. The number of processing and manufacturing enterprises optimistic about the business outlook in the third quarter increased compared to the previous 3 months, according to the recent survey. Well, that's because of the Rona. In total, 49.1% of the people surveyed enterprises believe they will be in better shape in the next 3 months. I agree, but that's everywhere except for here we're having a civil war. These people seem hellbound and determined to destroy our communities, our economy, and our jobs as much as possible, and then point the finger and say that's the bad orange man's fault. Nobody's falling for that. The Rasmussen's polls are probably the closest to the truth of all the polls, and they got Trump whipping butt. So yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on that. They really are desperate. It's sad because they're willing to tear down our country, kill our citizens just to grab power. Make no doubt about it, they'll do it. All right. So look, it looks good over there in Vietnam. Like I was saying, we want to keep an eye on it, and I hadn't done a little article on them in a little while. I just wanted to touch bases again. Look at. They are going to be on the list, okay? And yeah, I'm curious to see if anything's going to happen to them while we're going through our civil war. But definitely something to watch for. Look at this. As I'm looking at this, silver futures surge. Look at this, and gold nears record highs to havens. Yeah, wouldn't you like to have one of these big old chunky bars? If you do, go to Money Metals. They have it. That's a good way to close this out. Look, let me know what you guys think about them being on a currency manipulation list. We know right now there's a distraction happening in our country. But nonetheless, hey, let me know what you think. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel. And there you have the Vietnam Dong for today. I'll catch you later.